You're with the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling a really interesting question, one that seems to be floating around a bit more lately. Has cultural progress, the vibe of the times, has it kind of stalled out since maybe the year 2000?
It's this idea that the decades before, the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, they all felt so distinct, right?
Exactly. And now, maybe not so much.
And this whole discussion was sparked by a source you sent in a YouTube video from a channel called Metaphysical.
That's the one. It's titled, Did the World End in 1999? Which is quite the title.
Definitely grabs your attention. Now, obviously, we're not saying the world did end.
No. Let's be clear on that.
But our mission here, our deep dive, is to look at the evidence the video presents for this feeling, this cultural freeze almost.
And unpack the different theories it floats out there to maybe explain it, all without, actually endorsing any one particular view.
Right. You wanted a thorough look, get the info quickly but properly, so let's do it.
Okay, so the video kicks off by talking about how easy it is to picture past decades, their styles, the music.
Yeah, they paint these broad strokes. Like the 1950s, you immediately think Grease, Elvis hair, James Dean.
Or for women, Marilyn Monroe, Audrey Hepburn, instantly recognizable.
Then boom, the 60s hit. Hippies, bright colors, psychedelic stuff, a whole different world.
And the 70s, the video mentions long hair, lots of plaid, patchwork.
Oh, and the colors. They specifically call out avocado tuque green and burnt orange knitted ponchos.
Huh. Okay, that's vivid. And Partridge Family haircuts. Very specific.
You got it. Then the 80s arrive. Big shift again. Jane Fonda sportswear.
Hooker pads. Can't forget the shoulder pads.
Definitely not. Big hair, punk influences, lots of fluorescent colors. Very 80s.
In the 90s, well, that was my era. Grunge, obviously.
Yeah.
Baggy clothes, flannel.
Much more casual, right? Jeans and T-shirts became standard.
Yeah, but also mini skirts, hoodies were big, khakis, and that middle parted hair.
Curtains, the video calls it.
Right. Curtains. So the point is, each decade had its thing. You could tell them apart easily.
But the video's core argument starts right after that. It suggests that post-1999, that clear distinction, it fades.
Yeah, it gets blurry. What is the defining style of the 2000s or the 2010s?
The video argues it became sort of a mashup, just mixing and matching styles from all the decades that came before.
That feels kind of true, doesn't it? If you go to a mall now.
Exactly. You see 80s influences next to 90s grunge next to something else entirely.
It's like fashion is in this weird limbo land, as the video puts it, just recycling older stuff.
They bring up an interesting example, too, the TV show The Office.
Oh, yeah, from, 2005 onwards?
Right. And the video points out that the clothes, the hairstyles, they don't really look dated now, do they?
Huh. That's actually a really good point. They look kind of normal still.
It's hard to pin down the year just by looking at Pam's cardigan or Jim's hair.
And think about Gen Z now bringing back 90s hairstyles.
Yeah.
It really feels like things are looping.
So it's not just fashion. The video then pivots to Hollywood.
Ah, the remake culture.
Exactly. The claim is a big drop in original scripts after 1999 and just tons of remakes.
Especially films from the late 70s, 80s, and 90s, right?
Precisely. They list quite a few. Total Recall, RoboCop,
Point Break, Footloose, The Karate Kid,
War of the Worlds, The Day the Earth Stood Still, both got remakes.
Hairspray, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Cinderella, King Kong, Clash of the Titans, Carrie, Planet of the Apes.
Wow, okay. That's a lot. And they said that's barely scratching the surface for horror movies.
It definitely paints a picture of looking backwards. And the video connects this to ancient Greek mythology.
The Muses.
Yeah, the idea of the Muses as the source of inspiration, creativity. The video kind of poses the question, did we somehow lose connection with the Muses after 1999? Is that why original storytelling feels less frequent?
That's a very poetic way to put it. Are we out of new ideas or just playing it safe?
And sticking with movies, they bring up The Matrix.
Oh, interesting. How does that fit in?
Well, you remember how the AI in the movie pinpoints 1999 as the peak of human civilization?
Yeah, because people were comfortable enough, but also miserable enough not to question things too much.
Exactly that balance.
No.
And the video suggests, well, maybe our current reality feels a bit like that. Comfortable, maybe, but anxious, stagnant.
Oof. That's a slightly chilling thought. Okay, so from there, the video dives into the really out there theories for why this might be happening.
It does get pretty speculative, yeah.
Okay.
First up is Nostradamus.
Of course, July 1999, the great king of terror.
And Comet Hale-Bopp showing up around then. There were fringe theories about like a hidden impact or something.
But the video kind of brushes past that, right? Because, well,
We're still here.
pretty much. Then it gets into something called the 7-minute brain theory.
Okay, what's that?
It's based on the idea that the brain keeps working for a short while after death, maybe about 7 minutes.
Yeah. And because time perception can get really weird, especially in dreams, the theory wonders if maybe the end happened in 1999 and we're all just living in this extended dreamlike playback of those last moments.
Whoa, okay. So we're all in a collective death dream that feels like decades.
That's intense. It's definitely out there. Then, a more, let's say, sci-fi inspired one, AI took over.
Like literally The Matrix.
Yeah.
AI runs the show from 1999, keeping us in a simulated reality,
That's the gist. Maybe limiting progress, maybe explaining why fashion just repeats.
keeping us docile with reruns of the 90s. Okay. What else?
The holographic universe theory comes up.
The idea that our 3D reality is actually just a projection from a 2D surface.
Exactly, like a super complex hologram. So maybe the projector got stuck or changed in 99.
Mind-bending stuff.
Yeah.
And then Saturn.
Yeah, this one ties into mythology. Saturn, or Kronos to the Greeks, was the god of time.
Okay.
So the speculation is maybe Saturn itself emits frequencies, maybe interacting with other planets that somehow influence our perception of time, maybe locking us in a loop since 99.
So Saturn is messing with our cosmic clock.
Wow.
Okay, from planets to particles. The Higgs boson.
Mm-hmm. The video mentions the concerns, famously from Stephen Hawking, among others, that discovering the Higgs boson could, destabilize the universe.
The God particle, yeah.
And it points out it was discovered in 2012, the same year the Mayan calendar supposedly ended.
Huh. That is a weird coincidence. Did finding it somehow tweak reality?
That's the question it poses, which leads nicely into the whole Mandela effect thing.
Oh, yeah, this is fascinating. Shared false memories, right?
Exactly. The classic example being Nelson Mandela. Loads of people seem to remember him dying in prison back in the 80s.
I know people who swear by that.
Yeah.
But he died in 2013. It's so strange.
The video gives other examples too, like in Snow White. Is it mirror, mirror on the wall or magic mirror on the wall?
I always thought it was mirror, mirror.
Apparently it's officially magic mirror.
Yeah.
And has been, which messes with people's heads.
Okay. Yeah, that feels wrong somehow. What else?
Remember a movie from the 90s called Shazam, starring the comedian Sinbad as a genie?
Wait, yeah, I think I do. Or am I thinking of Kazam with Shaq?
Well, Kazam definitely exists, but Shazam with Sinbad doesn't seem to have ever been made, yet so many people remember it vividly. The video host is adamant about it.
That's bizarre. Okay, any more?
Ed McMahon and Publishers Clearinghouse, everyone pictures him with those giant checks.
Right, the big prize patrol guy.
Except, apparently he never actually worked for Publishers Clearinghouse. He worked for a rival sweepstakes company.
No way. Really, that feels like a collective implanted memory.
And one more C-3PO in Star Wars. Is he all gold?
Yeah, isn't he?
Check again. Apparently one of his lower legs has always been silver, right from the original movie.
Seriously, I had the action figure, he was all gold.
The video host says the same thing.
Yeah.
So these discrepancies, they lead to theories. Maybe timeline shifts happened. Maybe around 2012.
Or like we jumped tracks onto a slightly different reality.
Or maybe our timeline was saved somehow, and these are just leftover glitches from a previous version.
It's wild stuff. Okay, what's the last big theory?
This one feels a bit more grounded, maybe, but still unsettling. Technological time compression.
Meaning?
The idea is that technology is advancing so incredibly fast, like exponentially. Think Moore's law with computer chips doubling in power every couple of years.
Okay, yeah. Tech acceleration.
It's happening so fast that it creates this feeling that time itself is speeding up or compressing. Culture can't keep up. New styles, new movements don't have time to stick before the next thing arrives.
So it creates this sense of an infinite loop because nothing lasts.
Kind of. And maybe as we merge more with technology, become more online.
We lose those shared physical experiences that used to define eras.
That's part of the argument. The video mentions The Matrix Reloaded, where the architect sees choice as a problem. But the video flips it, suggesting maybe embracing real choice, real creativity is the solution to break out of this perceived loop. Less online scrolling, maybe more real-world doing.
That definitely hits home. We spend so much time online now compared to, say, the 90s.
So sure. Now, the video is fair. It does mention counter-arguments.
Like maybe we're just romanticizing the past, seeing those old decades as more distinct than they actually felt at the time.
It acknowledges that possibility. But the host pushes back, saying, he lived through the 80s and 90s, and the shift, like with grunge music hitting Seattle, felt incredibly real and distinct then.
Yeah, some changes felt massive at the time.
And it also points out the unevenness of progress. Like, trains, cars, planes haven't changed that radically in decades.
True, my car isn't that different fundamentally from one 20 years ago. Faster, safer maybe, but same basic idea.
But then look at targeted online advertising. That's progressed at lightning speed, almost creepily so.
Good point. Progress is happening, just
Yeah.
maybe in less culturally obvious ways or more invisible ways.
So yeah, that brings us back to the mystery. Are we in a time warp? A cultural slowdown?
And if we are, is it because of comets, AI, Saturn, particle physics, timeline glitches, or just technology moving too fast for us?
It's quite the menu of possibilities.
So we have to ask you listening, what do you think? Does any of this ring true for you? Have the last 20-plus years felt culturally flatter, less defined than previous eras?
Have you noticed the remake trend? Or experienced any of those Mandela effects yourself?
The video leaves us with some big questions to ponder. What are your thoughts on this time warp idea? And if we do have this sense of extra time or looping time, what could we or should we do with it?
What do you think things will look like in another 10, 20 years? Will we see a new distinct style emerge?
It definitely makes you reflect on your own perception of time and change since, say, 1999. Have things felt different?
Maybe the real deep dive isn't about whether time stalled, but about how we perceive progress and reality itself in this incredibly fast-changing, yet sometimes strangely repetitive, modern world. Lots to think about.